Welcome back to another episode of People, Passion, Power. I'm this funny looking guy right here, and this week we've got author Lori Lee on the show, and she's got a book out called Live Intentional and Fearless Every Day. The book is called L.I.F.E. Live Intentional and Fearless Every Day. I'll give you a little clue into some of the chapters, and I also want to prepare you. It's a challenge book, so you might pick it up, you might read it, but there are challenges in this book that I think you guys might find useful. Here's one, challenge number 5. Give someone the benefit of the doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, Lori Lee, live intentional and fearless every day. Special thanks to our sponsor, Greg Kingsbury with Vellum Mortgage. Hello, everyone. This week, I'm very excited to welcome one of my favorite podcast hosts to the show, Lori Lee. Welcome to People, Passion, Power. Super excited to have you as a guest. Welcome. Oh, you're raising the roof for us. I love that. I love that. You guys are going to quickly find out that Lori has a very calming voice. I mentioned this to you before, and I think you've heard this before. Locally, there's a radio host. I think she's national. Delilah, right? You've heard me mention that to you before. Is that somebody you know? Does that ring a bell?
No. What is it?
You got to do some research about Delilah. She hosts a radio show. It's love songs, and she's got this awesome voice, and she's pretty cool. So you need to listen to Delilah one point in time. You so remind me of her in your voice. So I'm sure some of the listeners will know that.
When I first started the podcast, one of the funnest things for me was, and I didn't expect it at all, was how many people said, "Oh, I love listening to the podcast because your voice is so soothing." And I thought, well, that's bizarre. I had no idea. I mean, it was just like something that hadn't even registered for me at all. And I just kept hearing it over and over and over through the years. And I thought, well, that's cool. Who knew?
There you go. And you're just having fun with it. So the podcast is Love Your Story, guys. Check it out. If you haven't, it's right there. It's one of my favorites. I really enjoy it. But also is exciting about Lori and what we're going to dive into today. Does this look familiar? This is Lori's book, Live Intentional and Fearless Every Day, 21 Life Connection Challenges. So I've got a chance to dive in on this book, and I really appreciate it. Let me first say that. And for those of you that are out there, it's not, Lori and I were talking about this the other day, it's not a traditional book where you just read it and digest it. This one actually has challenges baked into it, and I love that component of it. So if you do get the book, guys, and we're going to put the link out there for you, there's a challenge. Which challenge was that, by the way? I'll share my favorites in a second.
That was challenge 6.
Challenge 6. Love bomb. All right. What is love bomb? Go ahead and tell us, since we teased everybody. I know what it is. I don't know if I marked that as one of my favorites though, Lori, but let's see. Tell me about love bomb.
Love bomb is to choose someone in your life that you love and you go all out. So you make a phone call or an in-person visit and you tell them just in detail that you love them. And the reason this challenge is fun is that the going above and beyond is the part where it gets really, really meaningful for the other person, because it's not just, hey, I love you, dude. It's like, I love you, and you tell them why, and you get into some really specifics. And just think, if you got a phone call like that, or one of your friends made the point to come and talk to you, and to just, maybe it takes 5 minutes, but you just really let them know why you appreciate and care about them. Like, that's enough to put you walking on cloud 9 for the day. That's a powerful moment between people. So that love bomb, funny story about that is one of the guys who was doing it, a lot of the challengees I'm in communication with them, where they talk or they send in their experiences. And one guy was doing this in his office, and people thought he was dying. They're like, dude, are you okay? Like, what's with all the love? And he had to laugh and got a kick out of it. And he had to explain, no, I'm doing the 21 challenges. It's not, I'm not on death's door. And I thought that was hilarious.
Now that you mentioned that chapter, I I got love bombed the other day by a colleague of mine, and he did it in a very smooth format that I didn't even know was a love bomb until you just described it. And he just said, "Hey, you know what one of my favorite things about you is?" And he ripped it off, and I've since forgotten what it was, but he love bombed me. I gotta remind him. So I returned the favor. Funny story. I returned the favor like a week later, and I sent him a text like, "My favorite thing about you is your grit and your drive." And he's like, "Man, start my day like that every day." I'm like, perfect. So you're getting it. So I thought what we could do today, we will definitely dive into some of the challenges. I'm excited to share my favorites with you. But before we go there, tell us how life came to be, how this book come into the world.
So when I first started the Love Your Story podcast, it was, gosh, this is a long story. Love Your Story was started because I did not love my story, and I had to do a lot of work. My history has to do with being married 3 times and being divorced 3 times. And, that was not the life I expected. And some of the things that I had to go through with my ex-husbands, with addictions and abuse, and, not things that would have been on my radar because I was a really good girl. And so I'm looking at my life and going, how did it turn out like this? Like, what's going on? And I had to go through this whole process of not being ashamed of it. And in that process, I did a lot of training and I got coaching, and I really worked to love my story. And that's where everything started. But in that process of being coached and in that process of learning skills of making the best out of life and learning how to connect well and learning how to take care of self and all of those things, I collected life hacks that were just incredible. They made a really big difference in my life. They made a big difference. I watched them make a big difference in other people's lives. And as I collected those, I thought, this is something I would love to share with people and put it in a format that people could easily create their lives more intentionally. Because I think so many of us are just doing life and we deal with life as it hits us instead of being intentional about what we do to create the life that we want. And your book, you're talking about intentionally creating family life the way that you want it. And that is powerful. But we can do that in our lives as a whole also. And this collection is 21 life hacks that genuinely help you purposefully create connection and possibility and self-care. And they're powerful. They're powerful. And they came about from testing them out, from learning how to do them, from wanting to make the world better.
Well, I really enjoy them. And you and I have spoken about this, but you started to write this stuff down. You started to document it. You started to be aware of your own thoughts. And part of your transformation was that awareness, right? I mean, the awareness led to this. For people that are listening right now, and look, everybody has challenges, right? You're just willing to put it out there to the world, and now you love your story. So if somebody's out there with challenges, what do you recommend they do? They journal? What should they do to kind of start getting their thoughts documented?
Well, what kind of challenges? That sounds, I think that's a hard question, Jason, because it's not going to be the same for everybody. Okay. And I think that actually brings us back into the challenges, because these challenges are a broad range. And I will tell you that as I watch people do them, not every challenge is powerful for every person. And so you might do the 21 challenges, and if you walk away with 4 of those that just knocked your socks off, that you felt the connection and the shift in your life, and you found that it was a life hack that you want to use over and over because it's just so powerful in the way that you interpret life and it's really helped you grow, that's perfect. Take those 4 and incorporate them into your intentional creation of your life. So when you ask that question, what do you do? Absolutely, you can journal. You can also stop focusing on yourself, on your own challenges, and go to service, which is, challenge number 1, which is random acts of kindness. Or you can start, getting rid of internal burdens by also getting rid of external burdens, which is challenge number 2, which is starting to get rid of unneeded things, getting the clutter out of your life so that your mind can be set. I mean, these challenges, each one individually, is a way to deal with those things, and different ones will affect you differently. I don't know that everybody loves to journal, but for the people that do, and I am one that does because I'm a writer, it's very powerful to purge, just to get it all out on paper. And then you can burn that paper, or you can keep it as a record, or you can keep it and hope nobody reads it.
Yeah. So there's 21 challenges in the book, and I'm going to share a few that really resonated with me. I'm pretty sure if you pick it up and you read it, you're going to find a few that resonate with you. Challenge number 3, find a lesson in something that doesn't go your way today. Why the heck is that one so hard?
You know what? If we could learn this skill, like, it truly is a life hack that once you get it down, you're in a whole better state of living. So if Maya Angelou said, if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude. Right?
Okay. Yep.
Like this, we have the power to control our own minds and our own thoughts, regardless of what happens to us. Even if somebody else does something to us, we control the thoughts. So if something doesn't go your way today, and instead of sitting and ruminating and bitching about how life sucks and this person sucks and that's not fair and whatever it is, instead of staying in that space, you can find a way that you can learn from it. Even if it's learning that that's not the right way to do that thing, or the opportunity to have this negative interaction with this person has taught me that I don't necessarily want to be around those type of people, or there's things that we can learn. And I think when we're in our hardest spaces, I'll bring it back to me, let's say a marriage that was really hard. When you get to the point of being able to forgive and being able to move forward and being able to learn, I think absolutely you have to get to a space of, what did I take out of that was good? What can I learn? What can I learn not to do? And what can I learn to do better? And what can I learn from the experience itself that's going to strengthen me and make it so that there's purpose in something that was really painful, instead of just creating bitterness around it. So we do it on the small things, and we really need to do it on the big things. But the challenge here is to practice it on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's. I imagine all of these take practice and commitment. But challenge 5, give someone the benefit of the doubt. I think that's an easy one to do if we just slow down long enough to have some space between the discernment and the idea behind this one. So tell me about give someone the benefit of the doubt. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we don't always do it, and maybe we should do it more.
Oh, this is a big one, Jason. So I'm glad it's one of your favorites.
It is.
When we can get into the habit of giving people the benefit of the doubt, it literally changes our relationships. And I'll share an example. So I have a dear friend who we were friends in high school. And so, it's been a lot of years, and we've stayed in touch. We're good friends. Well, there was something that popped up in my life that I really needed support on. And she was the only person who could give the kind of support that I needed. And I asked her specifically to do this. And she kept saying she would. She kept saying she would. And then she just wouldn't do it. And, for me, I'd rather her not commit to something if she can't do it. But it went on and on until I started to feel resentful and started to feel like she was a really bad friend. And just there were a lot of negative feelings that popped up in me about it. And I thought I had to stop and actively choose to give her the benefit of the doubt, to say whatever it is in her life that's stopping her from doing this, whatever it is in her psyche that makes her not want to support this, whatever it is, I need to trust that it's the right thing. And even if it's only the right thing for her, I care about her as a friend. And if I don't give her the benefit of the doubt here, our relationship is going to crash. So either I get to give her the benefit of the doubt and kind of take the higher step that there's a reason and a purpose that that she can't do this or chooses not to, and that needs to be okay with me. Or I can sit there and feel bitter and upset and give up the relationship eventually, because I would have, when you have those kind of feelings about something in a situation. And that experience right there taught me how crucial it was for relationships to give people the benefit of the doubt, because we cross each other all the time. There's always friction with people. There's always things that we have different opinions on, or have different abilities about, or have different expectations on. And so giving the benefit of the doubt can save something important.
Truth is, we have most of the time no idea what's going on with people.
Yeah.
We make assumptions really, really quick. And I don't know. One of the things is we talk about spacing and things like that, benefit of the doubt. I think giving space is a key thing that I'm working on. It's like, you say something that bothers me right away, right? Well, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. For me to be able to give you that benefit of the doubt, I have to give myself some space between that comment that you just made and my comment in return, if I choose to make one. So spacing, I think, is a big thing on benefit of the doubt. Challenge number 7, pick one thing you've been wanting to do or buy for yourself and just do it. I'm going to share with you, Lori. I just did this last week. I got myself a brand new smartwatch here. I didn't go too expensive on it, but and I just did it. It felt great. To make it feel better, I told my family they didn't have to get me a Christmas gift, and that I'm actually going to wrap it and put it under the tree, and that it's from them. And that worked well with them. So I know challenge 7 works.
Well, and that's going to be different for everybody too, because self-care and also valuing yourself, loving yourself, knowing that you are worth taking care of, I think is a very important part to just being able to love other people, to being able to feel the love of God, if that's, if that's something that you believe in, even if it's not. I believe in God, but I'm also learning that you have to love yourself first to be able to really know what it looks like to feel the love of God, to feel the love from other people, that self-love is important. And any action that you can purposefully take to improve your physical or mental or spiritual, emotional capacities is taking care of yourself. And sometimes that just means, like with this, each challenge is much deeper and broader than it appears on the surface. It's not just about, oh, I get to go spend some money. It's about a moment with yourself saying, what have I been putting off getting for myself that's really important? And hey, I'm worth it. So I'm going to choose to be worth it. And I'm going to choose to lavish myself with something that just feels really good to me. And that, that can be something small. It depends on who you are and, what you've been putting off. But I think a lot of times we don't, we put off what we want. Well, I do, because I'm really frugal.
Yeah, I get it. Challenge 13, go on a walk in the mountains or a park, someplace natural, and pay attention to your senses. Stay present. What do you see, smell, hear, and feel? That one takes me to a spot. And I'll tell you, I told you this, I didn't do all of the challenges in a row. I picked and choose my challenges. I would like to do them all in a row, but this one I also did. And I don't know why I needed to be reminded to do this one, but this was the reminder, and I did it. And almost every time, I just go out in nature and just take a walk, right? Like, let life slow down for a second. It charges me so much. That's one of my favorite things about this book is I don't think there's and I don't want this coming across the wrong way. There's nothing in here you guys haven't heard before, but most of you, but it just puts it in front of you as a reminder. Like, just go try this. Remind yourself to do this. And thank you for putting challenge 13 in. It's one of my favorites. What is your favorite one, by the way, of the 21?
I kind of want to follow up on what you just said, because you're right. There's nothing in here that is ground shattering. No, nobody knows it. What it is, and part of the reason that I did it in 21 challenges and as a 21-day challenge, which I want to talk about that too, but part of the reason it's done that way is because we all know what we should do to live great lives. I mean, truly at the core, we have heard enough, we've studied enough, especially if you're into, you know, advancement and learning, and you're on Zoom meetings and coaching and all that. Everybody knows all the things they should be doing. But when you put it in a program, and in this case, it's in a book that goes from challenge to challenge, you have a guide. And we work as humans better that way. When somebody can hand us a program and say, here, use this, and it's outlined for us on how to do it, we're going to have much higher level of success than if it's just, oh yeah, there's a bunch of stuff I ought to be doing that I'm not doing. And I know what they are. So that's why the book is powerful, is because it creates a program and hands it to you in a way that reminds you, gives you a specific purpose daily of something that you can do that will enrich your life. And, you know, this challenge on nature, I really believe that we need to be present in our lives to win. And that's what this challenge is about. It takes you into a place where your soul, all humans, you know, from a natural space, we commune with nature. There's just something about sitting by a stream that is peaceful to us, that brings our mind out of the hassle and the rush of things into a place of more awareness of being in the present moment. And that's a very important thing. So there are a lot of levels to that challenge too.
There's a lot of levels to them, but yet they're so digestible. That's what's cool. That's what I want to say with it. Challenge 18: replace one negative thought. You think that's easy, folks? It's not. Try it out, right? You and I can talk about this, but the amount of negative thoughts we have in a day, it's crazy when you really start to think about that. It's actually also scary. So I like how simple you get. Just start with one.
It's called a negativity bias. And we all seem to have it as humans. And it's that little devil on your shoulder. And a lot of times those negative things that we're hearing are about ourselves. And so if there's something that, you know, you look in the mirror in the morning and you get the thing that it's so second nature to you, the negative comment, my nose is too long, I'm losing my hair, you know, whatever it is, I'm too fat, these pants look terrible. You know, there's a ton of that negativity bias that's naturally there. And if you can just practice, say, you know, replacing a negative thought with a positive thought, you really start to shift. And you have to do it over and over, but you've got to start somewhere. And you can rebuild those neural pathways if you're willing to do the work. So you asked me
go over these one by one with you, actually, but we don't have 3 hours, but I'm happy to look back in it and like I'm skipping over a few, and I'm like, dang on it, I should bring that one back up, or throw that one in there. Challenge 21: change something in your home, office, or one of your spaces to make the space more enjoyable for you. All right, tell me about it.
Okay, so I put this one as the last challenge because it's like a reward for doing the 21 challenges. Setting the scene is part of our story. So we're all the heroes of our story, right? And the scene and the setting, let me say that, the setting that we create around us, so our homes, our offices, our space, is literally like this scene would be in a play. If this story were on the movie screen, if your life story were on a movie screen, if your life story were on the stage, what you surround yourselves with is the setting. And you get to intentionally be aware of what that is. Is it a peaceful space? Are you surrounded by things that you love and have meaning to you? Are you creating a space that is super messy and chaotic and creates that in your mind as well? Or are you creating a space that brings peace to you? And, you know, only you know that. You get to take stock of what that's like for you. And then this challenge says, you know, treat yourself here, change something in your home office or one of your spaces to make it more enjoyable for you. And maybe you change a picture that's on the wall that, you know, you bought at, I don't know, home store and it's, just a generic poster that doesn't mean anything. And instead you have a canvas printed of something that you did with your favorite person in the world and it brings up a great memory. Maybe you just get rid of the throw pillows that are old and looking a little dowdy and you get something that's fresh and seasonal and makes you feel happy when you look at them. Maybe you just get yourself a new candle that smells like Christmas,
Yeah.
It can be a whole range of things, but I want to mention one. You said, what's my favorite? And I'll be honest, there's not one favorite, but this one, challenge number 4, at the end of the day, as you're lying in bed, make a mental list of all the things you accomplished that day. This is one of mine that I do regularly, and I love it because I call it success filing. And oftentimes we sit at the end of the day and, as we're laying in bed, we're thinking about all the stuff we didn't get done, right? And then we're going to bed and we're restless because, we didn't get this done. We should have gotten that done. And we're going into sleep in a restless space. And I love this because it's almost like, it's a combination of a pat on the back, a celebration of what I did, hey, these are all I'm accomplishment driven. And so for me, this is a really powerful challenge because I go through and I count everything. So, hey, I got up, I had a shower, I did my hair, these are things that take time and effort. I ate something healthy for breakfast, or I made this great connection with this person. I contacted this many clients. I go through the whole thing. But by the time you do that and you really look at all of the things you did, oftentimes you'll go on and on and on and on about the things that you accomplished. And you realize, I've done a lot today. And even if it's not a lot, if the things that you accomplished were meaningful to you or really held something important for you, maybe you spent the whole day with a parent who is aging, or the whole day with a child, creating learning and fun. And you realize how meaningful that is and what you're doing with your time. That success filing is another way that you fight off that negativity bias because you're celebrating the good you're doing every day. So I love challenge number 4 too.
All right, that's a good one, and it's so fun because I'm sitting here reading them again. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. Tell me again why 21 challenges, and should people do it 21 consecutive days? Is that the intent of the book?
Well, great question, Jason. So there are a couple ways to do this, and one of the ways that I have found is super powerful is if you do it with a group of friends or family. So one of the ladies I was talking to, I just got a call this week, and she said, I was looking over my 2021, and my favorite thing that I did this year was the 21 challenges. And what she had done was she bought 5 of her best friends a copy of the book, and they all started together. They would choose a challenge at the beginning of the week. They would do lunch, they'd choose their challenge and, talk and have a great time. And then they'd go out and spend that week doing the first challenge. And then they'd get back and have lunch at a different lady's house the next week. And they'd talk about what they had done with that challenge. And then they would move on to the next challenge. And so it took them the whole year, basically, 21 weeks. And then they were, emailing, can you do a second book and get us more challenges? And so it's super fun with friends, and it's super powerful too, because as you're talking and you're sharing what the experiences were like for you, you're revisiting the power of those. The other thing is families. It's great to do with families, each person. So here's something we haven't pointed out yet, but at the end of each challenge, there's a section for you to write about your experience. And I really want to drive home the fact that this is an important part of it, because we can work things into our day, but when we stop and go back and remember it and are really honest about what was that like. So let's say you're doing challenge number 1 and it's a random act of kindness. And the truth of it is, it's not all just fuzzy roses. We're dealing with, I find over and over that people are dealing with the fear of somebody yelling at them because they put a inspirational note on their car and they didn't know what it was and they got too close to somebody. And or people, if you are handing out, these are different experiences that people have done, but they're handing out roses in the parking lot at a grocery store and people are wondering, what they're raising money for and if they have to pay for them. And, and you have to have all those kind of awkward situations, or if you pay for the guy's lunch behind you at the fast food drive-through, is the high school kid going to keep the money that you just gave for the car behind you, or is it actually going to get passed along? So there's all kinds of things that pop up in our minds, and when you get to write it out in the journal, there's a lot of growth, there's a lot of understanding, there's a lot of awareness that you talked about in the beginning that's really important to the whole life hack process. So everybody in the family, as we were talking about, gets their own copy of the book, because they're going to and this family that I'm talking about in particular, that I'm thinking of, they did a week by week too. They would meet on Monday nights, they would choose a challenge for the week, they would do it and talk about it during the week, which gave them all things to talk about. And then each individual person would write out what they did, and then they'd share that again the next Monday before they did a family night, and
nice.
started out on it.
I'm going to roll this out to my gang. That's what we're going to do. We're all going to do it here and see what happens. Well, Lori, I'm grateful for you having the courage to put this stuff out into the world. I'm grateful for you sharing your story. Again, guys, check out the Love Your Story podcast. It literally is one of my favorites. The Live Intentional and Fearless Everyday book that Lori has, that we're talking about here, I can promise you, if you get it, there will absolutely, I'll just go ahead and promise you, 100% guarantee that you will find something useful that applies to you in this book. And you can't say that about all of them, but this is one, and it's applicable to everybody, no matter where they are in their lives. And I don't know, Lori, what is next for you? Everybody has to ask authors, are they writing another book? What are they doing? What's next for you? Tell us.
Well, can I just add on real quick that when you get this book and when you do the challenges, don't skip the ones you don't want to do, because the ones you don't want to do, the ones you don't want to do are the ones you need to do the most. So when you do this, start from the beginning. It's not that they have to be done in order, but it gives you a program to follow and do every one of them. And the ones that feel the most uncomfortable, like, I don't want to do that, that's a stretch for me, that's the one you need to do, because that's what you're going to have the most interesting experiences with. So when you say you're going to walk away with something, absolutely. Like we said, there might be 4 or 5 that blow your socks off, but you're not going to know which ones they are until you do them all. So do them all. No cheating.
I chose my favorites. I feel like you're calling me out, but maybe you are. So that's fine. I'll take that. All right. Very good. So anything else we missed? The thing that's cool, and more stuff comes to my mind as we get through it, is this book is just about everyone, right? Like, it's about anybody that picks it up. The book's about you. It's for you. It's just written by Lori. But it's really for you and applicable in your life. So thank you. And how should people connect with you? Through the podcast, buy the book, any other places they need to know about?
The website for Love Your Story is simple. It's loveyourstorypodcast.com. So you can go there, and the podcast has been up for 5 years. So we have over 200 episodes, and they're really, really incredible. I interview people about their stories, and there's also a podcast episode that goes along with every single challenge. So the podcast episode itself gets into a lot more depth about what each of those challenges are about. And as you do and tackle each challenge, listen to that podcast episode. It's very clear. The title tells you, which one goes with which, because it supports what it's about and what you're learning and where it's going to take you. So I would suggest absolutely the website is a great place to go. You can comment on any of the episodes that you like. You can buy the book from the website. And Jason also has the link for the book that you can purchase. It's also on Amazon. If you type in L.I.F.E with capital letters and my name, Lori Lee, it'll pop up, so you can buy it off there too. But I would suggest, if not for yourself as a kickoff for the new year, also consider it for whatever group of friends you have. It's a great Christmas gift to, give to everybody and say, this is what we're going to do for starting off the new year. We're going to do these challenges together, and you will create wonderful relationships and connection through that process.
Well, it's always a treat to talk to you. I appreciate you being a guest, and just thanks for everything that you do, putting good out into the world. you certainly have an impact, and it's nice to be associated with people that are trying to do good. So remember, everybody, love your story, and thanks for watching this episode of People, Passion, Power. Lori, we will stay in touch, and I'll raise the roof with you.
Thank
See you
you.
guys later. Thank you,
Thanks,
Lori.
Jason. Bye-bye.